So then we are back with more understandings from the time of the second tabernacle services, where we find the Aramaic English translation of the word. This translation comes from the original manuscripts of the prophets of the Tzayelic lineage. So then we can understand the time of the end. As per Yeshayahu the prophet, we find layers of understanding of the spring feast, the autumn feast, and also the returning of the cities of the Mashiach laid waste for many centuries. As we read it in Yeshayahu the prophet, let's make an analysis regarding then what was previously explained. The 23rd chapter of Yeshayahu gives us a very clear understanding of the time of the restoration period, and this restoration is regarding the trade restoration as per the instructions, and also tabernacling. Truly came out a very concerning situation regarding our neighbors in the north, Canada, making a trade consensus with China. So then, a representative of China, Mr. Lee, went to Canada, and he is there at this very moment, and they are talking of deals, and the number is 56 deals with China, worth more than 12 digits. So then, as it was explained before, the Chinese system truly is coming, and they are covering the entire Pacific with their spacey equipment disguised as the agriculture or TV stations or any other type of equipment for certain reasons. But the true situation behind the equipment in space is simply the coverage of the Pacific with the Chinese signal, obviously related 100% with trade via internet. Not only this, afterwards, after Sunday, Mr. Lee is going to Cuba. What an interesting visit. And there they're going to strengthen their ties regarding then trade. Very pertinent when we begin our quest understanding the situation related with the merchants, as it was then explained previously in Galah, or then Revelation. So then, the Chinese system is showing itself extremely strong. Not only China is obviously leading the trade in the world, the BRICS also is becoming extremely important. And now our friends in Canada up north, they are turning over to them. So then, besides these, the military of the countries of BRICS are also strengthening themselves. India is purchasing also 36 aircrafts. And not only this, the Chinese Huawei company is going to build smart telephones in India. So then, as far as the explanation of this system, it's quite amazing how slow our U.S. government is regarding this huge economical threat of our economy. It truly points that these people up in the government, they are kind of numb regarding the dangers, or maybe they are aware of it and they can't do anything about it. So As far as we people, we are then the regulars and doing the everyday mundane work. When we read this information and we compare with what the US government is doing, it's quite concerning, their lack of reality. They are so involved with, security and other measures, though important. There is the economical side of it, and while we are then wallowing around in this security situation, though important, the BRICS is taking a forward motion beyond imagination. So then, a direct trade relation is then established with Canada and China, both sides confirmed on Thursday. Thursday then was a very important day, the 22nd of September. And then the Prime Minister of Canada is then very hopeful of this new economical agenda of theirs. And then the strengthening of these economical situation is going to double their bilateral trade volume by 2025. As far as Mr. Lee then obviously paying a visit to Havana, Cuba, it's quite amazing the military implications of this visit, because truly is undermining our potential of becoming part of this system. And though Daniel was extremely important, that a weakened system would take place. And this weakened system found in Daniel 11 is our system, but later on is going to be strengthened. At least the very chapter gives us a few hopes. If this non-government can start working in our economy, though they are doing a nice job regarding the security, but it's not only the security that moves this country. And then the military implications of the Chinese government and the Cuban government, and most important, the underwater warfare going on. Those people who are radio oriented, they understand that a radio signal can be intercepted, and there is a way of blocking a radio signal. It doesn't take much for a person to understand. If it's not a high wired system, then you can obviously using a frequency, and you can block it. Now if you make a very nice inventory of the Chinese military, you are then finding that they built and purchased various kinds of not very big submarines. For instance, the size of the Scorpion, French-made. You then start your quest. If you were never a radio person, or a radio certified technician, or then a ham radio operator, then truly is a situation that maybe you should learn. Because China, as a powerful nation as it is, and not having a substantial number of nuclear submarines for great distances, you begin to wonder, what are they doing with these tiny submarines? And they are purchasing a lot of them. So you begin your quest then understanding, why then are they sending up in the air so many of these devices in space? And since we know There is not a relation with the television, though it is mixed with it. For the moment, believe that the China's system regarding the trade that they are involved with, or in the Chinese system, you find then that this equipment is covering an area of the Pacific and those friends of China. Then China is obviously making trade deals around the world, and these people are going to be linked up with their system. Now, if you can try to understand the importance of these tiny submarines as a blocking radio stations of the signal, then you begin your quest of then the control of China related with the economies of the governments of the world. Now, US is a bit slow regarding then the prevention and understanding of these systems. Maybe indirectly they have an idea of it, but the point is US does not react until the bomb is on top of their heads. And prevention simply means you act in a certain way based from a present situation, and you begin to project these in a normal way, so then you can understand actions that must be taken in the near future. China is not joking. Alibaba is the most powerful system that we know of, quantity, price-wise. Now they have this situation related with the Cancun in Mexico, the Dragon Mart. So then, when a person is studying and taking the time to evaluate the systems, you find then this visit in Cuba is related not only with the economy, but there are military implications. Our dear US Navy is unfortunately underfunded, and the Soviet submarines, they have a sonar system that our dear Navy sometimes cannot pick up. That's the truth of it. Now, when you start including the Soviets and the Chinese, trade powerful nation with a very important military power, and you begin to understand that the US Navy sometimes they can pick up these submarines under the water, and then you find China building these tiny submarines and buying them. Does not give you a few understandings of what's going on under the water and also above the space. Now, the information given is in a very important and reliable British newspaper online, in the Breaks Post. You find the hawk eyes of the British, they are always poking and turning the stones in each of them, making a very thorough understanding. And this truly is posted. So while our government is wallowing around and trying to catch people blowing up garbage cans, do they not think it would be important of monitoring more the economical side of Africa? Now, the BRICS system, or the Chinese system, or the BRICS led by the Chinese, is the new economical system of the world. Now, South Africa is part of it. And the most influential economical country of Africa is South Africa. Certain things are obvious. then, this country, they are trying to get rid of the USD. Now, what does it take for this government to understand this point? A total and complete ruin of our economy? Until they, oh yeah, maybe we should have done something before. So though organizational, South Africa is the most prominent country in the continent of Africa, we understand mineral-wise is Congo. It's the most important country in Africa. Now, does it not say, when you take the information and you put it on a piece of paper, would not be prudent organizing Congo and using the USD as a means of exchange in the continent of Africa? Canada, our friends in the north, they are on the path of becoming part of the BRICS system. And they are going to turn their back on us. China has turned their back on us. The Soviets has turned their back on us. And our economy is not improving. So then, the next visit is in Cuba. Now, a very important point is understanding Cuba as a point of submarine protection of the Chinese system when Dragon Mart in Cancun then is developed. Now, Admiral Collins Green, he is the person responsible for the Southcom special operations of the Southeast. Now, this gentleman, very knowledgeable, traveled, he maybe should have a hold of some of this information and start parking his submarines near the area of Cuba, disguised obviously, and start doing some research of the underwater developments, if he can find the Soviet submarines. So, as comical as the situation is, you find then India purchasing 36 jets from France. Then you find the visit of the Chinese and doing directed trade. Directed trade simply means get rid of the USD. That's what it means. Not being against it, that's truly what the situation is. Now, Mr. Obama is obviously retiring from the government. He had his own agenda afterwards. And then Mr. Trump might have a chance of organizing this. Lady Clinton, seriously doubt it. Because her agenda does not describe any indication of tackling this problem. Then it says more. Please visit the first confirmed visit to Cuba by a Chinese premier since the two countries established diplomatic ties in the 60s. Wilt also focus on the signing of a number of trade documents regarding technology, renewable energy, industry and environmental protection. Now, the situation is we should invest in coal. They want to play dirty, we play clean. We use more coal than ever, more crude than ever. But then we filter them properly. Start being practical again. So there is a section of the Cuban mountains, roughly a couple of years ago, they were doing a very important project of using the wind as a form of generating energy. Truly a waste of time. It only shows you that they're trying to work some renewable junk, so then people get at ease that they're working on something, to get the environment somewhat under the control. And then technology, and then industry. Industry, there is not much related with it, other than making sure those countries in South America, they push for Cancun in Mexico and finish up the Dragon Mart over there, so they can get up to 5 times cheaper the products found in the United States. Then it would completely ruin our economy. And also environmental protection. So, there you have the new system showing up its strength. India buying jets, China simply coming around and making deals with Canada, and we are being shrunk even further. Now, as far as the environmental protection, coal is the best answer. It is inconceivable that a candidate for presidency trying to shut down the industry of coal. It's absolutely ridiculous beyond imagination. Can you imagine? Then the miners having no work, and substitute with what? Only because of a title and working on the environment. Oh yeah, we're going to work on the environment. We're going to place another filter on the smokestacks. And then technology. We don't have much technology anymore. Not in a way that should bring more jobs into the area of market. We do have some very wicked and absolutely scoundrelly destructive weapons. But then if you destroy the world, what people are going to work with? So, as far as the underwater warfare, you find sections in Job, known as Job, a very interesting spiritual understanding in what he saw, known as Leviathan. Now, when you have a bit of understanding of the divine and the original aspect from where the divine comes, you understand he uses natural situations to explain future events. Leviathans of the sea. And when you find that there is a layer related with the content of the restoration period, and then you find equipment in the words of Daniel, it doesn't take much long for you to understand they are speaking of military equipment. Now the situation is not interpretation, it is identification. Later on, we're going to discover more situations regarding then this particular problem with the internet and the point of China buying lots of medium-sized submarines. And as grander as China is, not having a substantial amount of big, huge submarines, nuclear subs, it kind of poses a very interesting question. Could they be merely trusting their friends to do their part? Not typical of a leading nation from the trade aspect and military aspect. When it goes overboard or beyond the borders, you can't trust anybody. Now, an internet signal doesn't take much to block it. Now, you find then when the nations of the world are then linked up with the Chinese system, you find then the signal coming from the space directly to the particular country. It doesn't take much longer for you to understand and deploy a submarine that many nations can even pick up under the water, and then popping up at night and blocking signals. What a way of placing those countries under the control. So, things are becoming serious, and China is not playing games. 56 deals with government of Canada, it is truly substantial. Then you find these Chinese representatives going to Cuba. And the very time we are opening the trade, the embargo is being lifted. What an interesting combination of events. And then later we're going to evaluate more of these from the perspective of the traders, merchants, and taxes. That's the main thing. But what Chinese wants, it's simply a friendship and get rid of the USD and pushing for Dragon Mart. This truly in itself would bring our economy to ruin. So please stay tuned, much more coming up.